Bro, something massive just dropped in F1 today. Not race results, not transfers. The FIA just banned a qualifying trick Mercedes and Red Bull used all season, a trick that gave them free extra power. Completely legal until today. I'll explain what it was, how it worked, why the FIA stepped in, and what it means next. Trust me, the ripple effects are massive. Let's get into it. To understand the controversy, we first need to set the scene. The year is 2026, and Formula One is on the brink of a revolution. This isn't just a minor update, it's a complete reset. We're talking brand new chassis designs, radical new aerodynamics aimed at promoting closer racing, and most importantly, a new generation of power units. These engines are the heart of the new regulations, designed to be more sustainable, more efficient, and a whole lot more electric. These new hybrid power units are, without exaggeration, the most complex engines ever bolted into a racing car. The regulations demand a near 50-50 split between the traditional internal combustion engine and the electrical systems. This massive increase in electrical dependency changes everything about how these cars are driven and engineered. At the core of this electric muscle is the MGU-K, the motor generator unit that converts kinetic energy into electricity and deploys it to the wheels. For 2026, its output is being tripled, capable of deploying a staggering 350 kilowatts of power. That's nearly 470 horsepower from the electric motor alone. With that much instant electrical power on tap, the FIA, motorsport's governing body, identified a critical safety risk. What happens when a driver finishes a blistering qualifying lap and suddenly cuts all that power? The car would decelerate dangerously fast. To prevent this, the FIA mandated a safety protocol. After a qualifying lap, the electrical power must be ramped down gradually, dropping by no more than 50 kilowatts each second. The logic is simple. You can't have a car abruptly becoming a slow-moving chicane on a live track where other drivers are still pushing to the absolute limit. It's a recipe for a catastrophic accident. Think of it like walking down a flight of stairs one step at a time, instead of jumping from the top landing straight to the bottom. It's a clear, sensible rule designed purely for safety. A rule everyone is expected to follow to the letter, except in the hyper-competitive world of Formula One, where every millisecond is fought for. Some teams, like Mercedes and Red Bull, didn't just see a staircase, they saw a staircase with a banister just waiting to be slid down. They found a loophole. Now, this is where the story takes a turn into that gray area where Formula One engineers live and breathe. It's a space between the written rules and the laws of physics, a place of pure, unadulterated genius, or perhaps something a little more diabolical. Because buried deep within the FIA's technical regulations is a clause designed for safety, an emergency override system. See, these hybrid power units are incredibly complex. If the MGU-K, the part that recovers and redeploys kinetic energy, suffers a critical fault, it could become unstable or dangerous. So the rules allow a driver to manually trigger an instant shutdown. It makes perfect sense for genuine failures, protecting the driver and the car. But what one engineer sees as a safety net, another sees as an opportunity. And here's the loophole, elegant in its simplicity. Teams allegedly realized they could trigger this emergency shutdown strategically. The target? The exact moment the car crosses the timing line to start a flying lap in qualifying. Instead of the MGU-K deploying its stored energy in a controlled, regulated flow over the course of the lap, the emergency command forces the system to dump every last joule of its remaining electrical energy in a single violent burst. Bang! It's an instantaneous surge of an extra 50 to 100 kilowatts, delivered precisely at the line. In a sport won by thousandths of a second, this is a colossal advantage. Then, as per the emergency protocol, the MGU-K locks itself out for 60 seconds to ensure it's safe. But on a qualifying out lap or a cool-down lap, that 60-second lockout costs absolutely nothing. The driver is just preparing for the next run anyway. It was, in essence, free power, free lap time, a perfect consequence-free exploit. This didn't explode overnight. Australia raised eyebrows, odd slowdowns after runs, Then Suzuka made it obvious. Drivers reported weird power behavior after push laps. Kimi Antonelli and Max Verstappen struggled after runs. Alex Albon even stopped on track in practice. Rivals were furious. Ferrari demanded answers. If Mercedes is your title rival, qualifying tricks matter. The question hit the FIA, will you stop this? Today, the FIA answered. Updated technical directives. Instant MGU-K shutdowns only for genuine emergencies. Systematic performance use is banned. The option remains for real faults, but not for lap time. And the FIA will check the data after runs. If it looks fake, expect penalties. Was it cheating? No, clever loophole hunting, but safety risk beats cleverness. Time to close the door. So, the FIA has dropped the hammer. The loophole is officially closed. But with any major regulation change mid-season, the aftershocks are what really matter. The immediate burning question on everyone's lips is, who does this hurt, and who stands to benefit? When you look at the grid, one team immediately comes to mind. On paper, Mercedes is set to lose the most. Their qualifying form this season has been nothing short of breathtaking. We've seen them lock out the front row time and again, often with a gap that left rivals scratching their heads. A significant portion of that advantage, it's now clear, came from mastering this specific engine mode. They didn't just find a loophole, they engineered their entire qualifying philosophy around it. For them, this isn't just losing a tool, it's a fundamental reset of their Saturday strategy. But it's crucial to remember the trick wasn't a silver bullet for every circuit. It was highly situational. Take the race in China, for example. The pit entry line there is positioned so close to the final corner that activating the mode was simply too risky and offered minimal gain. The driver would have to disengage it almost immediately to prepare for the turn, nullifying the benefit. This ban hurts Mercedes most on power-sensitive tracks with long pit straights. Now what about Red Bull? This is where it gets complicated. They run the same Mercedes power unit, so theoretically, they had the same capability, but their chassis has been their limiting factor all year. While they likely use the mode, their car's aerodynamic platform wasn't as synergistic with it. They couldn't exploit the extra power burst as effectively as the factory team. They needed every single edge they could find just to hang on to Mercedes's coattails, so for them, this removal really stings. It closes a door on a potential development path they were hoping to master. And Ferrari? Well, it's no secret they pushed hard for this ban. Unable to replicate the trick themselves, they saw it as an artificial performance differentiator. For them, this ruling is a massive victory. They'll welcome a tighter, more authentic qualifying fight, believing their chassis can now go head-to-head with Mercedes on a more level playing field. All eyes now turn to the next round. Miami is the first full race weekend where this ban will be enforced from the very first practice session. There are no more excuses, no more gray areas. This is the new reality. We are going to learn, and learn very fast, whether Mercedes's blistering one-lap pace was primarily a product of their brilliant car or this clever trick. My bet, they're still going to be quick. You don't build a championship-contending car by accident. But that dominant, almost untouchable edge they had on Saturdays, I think we'll see that gap shrink considerably. The fight for pole position could be a three-team battle once again. Ultimately, this entire episode is 2026 in a nutshell. A brand new set of rules, brilliant engineers finding new loopholes, and the inevitable controversies that follow. Was it an act of genius or sporting madness? The answer really depends on which team you support. The FIA has now closed the door on this chapter, reinforcing its authority. Now, we race. The debate will rage on in the paddock and in the grandstands, but the only verdict that matters will be delivered on the stopwatch. Did the FIA make the right call to intervene? Tell me what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like the video, subscribe for more F1 analysis, and I'll see you in Miami. Peace.